So today we will be doing God Must Not Be Misinterpreted. And then next week, I was just saying we'll have another mystical language message. It's a shorter one. And then a a lecture that Norina gave in two parts in Nagpur University, which is interesting because it discusses the East and the Western perspective with regard to the mystical language. And so without further ado, unless anybody have anything they will.
I'm planning to lay down, so I'll disappear. Oh, here we are.
That's good.
Yeah, you said I could.
Yeah, right, definitely.
Absolutely.
Let's see, what did I do? Okay. So everybody sees it?
You're
Yeah.
setting the trend,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, these, yeah, this is the best way to take these articles in stride, right? Okay. So God Must Not Be Misinterpreted by Princess Norina Matchebelli. This title contains in its sense Mayor Baba's order. He here dictates, I here say to all that the God is human. I here say to life in general that God is good, and in being good is bad to make the real good. Be life as practical life. I here say to all who in self as human being know that it is far too high to want the truth as realized order in conscience that is here in the self of mind as dual head, that I do the wonder of resurrection. It is here in the hemisphere of India that I do the wonder of life in self, in realization of the true real self, that is the substance of the true real order of life. Life is fact, which is to be acted and realized in the self for the use of God. This is the wonder of life as realization of self. God is to be realized in the human self and formed and real and true felt as real order in conscience. So it is here in the new world of life in self-order in conscience that I am to be the new dispensation of God as life realized. I here dictate this order to all through the intuition of one of my disciples who is devoted in self to life spiritual and who is giving her life in self as human being to spread the news of me here as the unavoidable life realized. I further say, God is the self in man. The life of the dual self is too highly mental, and therefore it is far too low in the self spiritual. It is inasmuch fact as it is the pure intuition which is to be awakened in the human being. This is to be the new wonder of life realized in man. It is to be the awakening of the true, real intuition. It is to be the true, real order in self as the true, real intuition. This is to be show, and as show is to be understood, the demonstration of life as realization. The realization is to be the truth, manifesting in the human order in conscience. The human conscience is to be new. This is the viewpoint of the Western human self in strife for the new life and the new order of life. To live and let live is the Eastern viewpoint. This viewpoint is to show in the Eastern Hemisphere, and that is the difficult order in all, to bring out and to practice.
When I shall speak, and that surely will happen soon, I shall bring out the new life, which is to serve the truth. Truth is life and man. I am here to do it. It is doing all the while the selfless wonder, and it is doing all the time the wonder of good, which is to lift the heart to the point of junction with the head. To join the two in one is to lift the value of the heart in the self. It is to awaken the mind universal in the individual finite self as head and as heart. To do it is the question that I have to bring to evidence. I push the head and the heart together to live in unison of real action. And this is to live for all and any. To live for all and any is to love the world and to live in the world and to help the world. It is to serve in self the human existence in all ways of life. To do this is of more or less importance from the spiritual point of view, as to serve men is a very hard work in the sense that it is in all ways of use and of no use at the same time. The way of two in one as use is to serve one way for the human self and the other way for the truth order in self as the human creature who is dual. Be it said here to all in the world that the human order in conscience is the human self in experience of the conscious individual who is in self, which is universal in being, the non-order to serve the self as human order in conscience. In other words, who is in self unconscious of the true real order in the head and heart in unison of life of the real existence. And that is to be good feeling for all as it is. That is to be good life in bad circumstances. And that is to be the realized existence in the head and in the heart. This is all what is to be done, to observe life as the work of God. To say this in the language of life realized, I here say this: the realized order in conscience, unconscious of the truth order, is the true, real oneness state in man. No more is to be shown than the oneness order in use in life as love. To love is order to live for others. To love is order to overcome the differences of all in life, no matter what it is. To love is to live in the world and be of it for use of all. This is the new order to make the world be true, real, and selfless in head and heart. God is life realized as state of pure knowing of the truth. Truth is life, and the human self and the wonder self in realization reaction, and all and anything in life as it is. This is fact. It is all and anything as it is. To make it all clear, try to say this to all in the world, that in the world is God, the life of every man. The God is man. See to say it loud in all the ways of life and in all the modes of expression, what I have said here to you as my disciple. See to make it clear in saying that I am the true, real human being, which is truth incarnate. Say it as my order to all. Tell to all here and there that Meher Baba is God and human individual who is God as manifestation of life realized.
Say further, the truth is far too little as life realized in the human order in conscience. The truth has to be life in self, and that is life mystical, pure in self, in aim to love God. See the difference and see the way it is doing the difference in life in men. It is doing the difference, and in doing the difference, it is doing the show of life in the human order in self. This is to say, it is doing the new life, and in doing the new life, it is awakening the heart in man. To see this, one has to live near one who is realized in the pure order of self as existence. I am order to all, and in being the order, I am truth, which is power of self in realized reaction in all, as the self superior. The new world of which Meher Baba says that it is to be in us a state of real knowing of God is to be done in our own way and in our self in experience of the true real self. We have to find God through our own effort. This is to say, live and let live. It is to say to all in the world, give and share. It is to say to all in the head and in the heart, live and love the one who is hard and crude to you, and live for all and love all who are in need. It is to say to all in the world, come and I will see what I can do for you. It is to see in the worst of the bad, the good, and that is God. It is the old self in intuition, and it is the pure order in self as the human conscience, and it is all as it is. Our own individual existence here in the world as life of opposites. To see, from see to live for use of all is another way to say it. It is the same to say, come, and I shall let you know who is the God who I have,
Yo,
have discovered.
hello.
Say to all, God is good and bad in one whole self-order, and that is to love and die for him.
Someone needs to be muted. Please mute.
That's me, sorry.
Where was I? No one in the world is able to live for one another until in heart awakened and sure in feeling that it is good to live for one another. So it is life realized that is good to form in us, and through the self realized to show the true real aim, to want to win the individual existence, which is realizing in self in joy and pain the oneness order in conscience. This is to bring out the new human being. It is to bring out the new life in men, and that is to live and let live. The word of truth, Mayor Baba shall speak, is doing the wonder of self-realization. It is to bring the transmutation of life unconscious in life real as pure conscience. So it is that what we know and feel that is good and real, which is the transmuted self. God is life in experience of good and bad in self as human being. God is all as it is, life. He is good and bad in self-order to be the one or the other, all of which has to be loved as two in one, as life dual, and for that we have to learn to love the life as it is. What is Mayor Baba doing when he washes the destitute? He used the power of life realized to make the poor realize the true real order in self. Mayor Baba is the tool of life unconscious to make us work in the self in conscience for the good of life unconscious.
The pure viewpoint is to let the true real self in the poor be acting as tool to lift the self in all who see him to do it. This is the realizing reaction in men who see him work in the plane of life, in the finite human self as human body and head and heart. The third viewpoint is to make the poor feel the contrast of life, of love, spiritual and individual. This is to attract the poor of mind and the poor of self in the realm of self in mind and head and heart. By mind is meant life of the universe as impersonal realizing reaction, as life of the union order. The new life of men is to be the life of all. It is to be the new life when all is different and real. This is Meher Baba's word. He says it in all the viewpoints of life, in all the phases of head and heart in self-realization reaction. And he says it in the human order in mind in self as the pure existence of the mind infinite. When he does the wonder work of life in the human advanced self, the wonder that he is actually performing in the human self is to lift the human self to the pure show of life realized. He is doing it, and in doing it, he is actually personifying the truth state in all who know that he is truth order in the life inherent in self as God consciousness. He is doing the truth order in men for the use of men. So he is doing the good for the use of life, which is to be realized good. To live and let live, one has to bring out all the inherent forms of the individual self, and the form has to grow fluid and spiritual, and that is to bring out the self, which is divine. The new world order is to live and let live. This is to be explained. To live and to let live is to make the differences of realization of the self be all the same value. No one is nearer to God than the one who is in love with God. To live for God is all that what is of real value. So it is of no value to live for one's own self's use. It is far away of life realized. No one is good until he is in self realized and in head and heart united. This is the way we as disciples of Meher Baba do feel about the differences as the feeling of true, real religion. We see in all the possibility to love the truth, and that is to make in self, as head, as intellect, no differences as the seeker of life realized. So we live and let live. This is to see the way it is and the way it should be. And when we meet the Master, who is knowing and seeing and feeling all as one, we know that it is the true, real way. We have to see him be the life realized. Meher Baba says, do in life the best you can, and in doing the best, you have done your share. And that is doing the rest for the truth to be realized. Live and let live is true, real philosophy of life realized. To say to the poor and to the rich, and to the prince, and to the beggar that I have come to help. I am impartial in self, and in mind as intellect, I feel the oneness realization in self that is human. So I am universal in self, and universal in mind, and in head, and in heart. I am here to make the dual self bring out the worst, and the dual self must bring out the worst. It is my wonder doing order as man who is God realized. See this and be in it calm and acceptant. Do in life your duties, and do it in the heart and in the head, and be in self as human order in conscience impersonal. That is all I here ask you and all in the world to do.
God is imperative in all who have to love and in all who have to live the life spiritual. We, as disciples of life spiritual in us, have to follow the life of God. I am the woman of the world who is realizing in the intuition that I have to follow the truth. I am ordered by him, the God, who is man in self, as truth show in self impersonal, that I have to follow the God. This is fact. I am in self impersonal, guided by him who is here, the personified self of truth. He has the true, real way to make me right, just, real. This is to be shown and lived and selflessly reacted in all the forms of human forms of mind. I, as human self, as dual I, as mind universal, am in him my own self as life realized. He is my own self realized, which is seeing the true, real wonder of life realized in realization reaction, which is to feel the God in self, in life, and in head and in heart, as longing to live for use of him. I exist to be his own life for use of him, the truth incarnate, who here lives God's own life. God's own life is I, you, all. He is God-man. He is God-man, and that is absolute realization of life in self. This is full and all the wonder of self, which is real selfless, real pure, real true, real good, to serve the self in men, to make good be the bad. Let it all be shown and felt that what is good in self, it is of use to all in life. Let it be the overcoming of the low and the overcoming of the high, which is far beneath the truth form inherent in men. It is all the same far show of life dual, which is far or near, the same that has to be overcome. It is as it is, far and near, and good and bad in self, as life unconscious, which he here has to lift out of life, which is realizing the unconscious as the life of realization and in no way more. Good is all that is to be acquired in the strife of life. Work in all the planes in self. Work in the scope of life, which is to bring light to the dark order in conscience and to lift the self out of the dual self, out of the spiritual show of life, unself-conscious of the truth. Be sure and true, one in use in all. Be life of love. Love, love, love. The threefold order in self is to love. Love me, says Meher Baba. In loving me, you love the whole of the world, and in the self in the universe, and in the one in use in self, which is God unseen. Love me, and see to bring the love to all, in being kind-hearted. Be good in self, as striving order in conscience, to follow my order, which is to overcome the limitations of the head and heart in the human body.
To serve all and to be good to all is to live for me here in all ways, which I let you try. I try your ways and you try my ways. This is to live and let live, and to love, and in love to real and true experience the true right order in self-realized in the conscience. Live and love for the real wonder of life, which is man.
Baba.
Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Hey, Bing, Emily, good to see you.
Amy.
Amy, last time we read it twice. We can do that. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? We're just going to do one today.
That's really some seventh plane stuff.
It is.
Which section was that?
This is God must not be misinterpreted. God must not be misinterpreted. We can read it again if you like. I mean, it really.
It is what it is.
Yeah. It is, in one sense, it's clear and concise. In another way, it is an experiential process.
There's no warnings. It's all, put yourself out there and love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
And
great. But, you see the guy on the street that needs a bath, you go, I'm going to have a reaction if I go bathe that guy, But Baba had no problem doing it.
Yeah, well,
Sure.
yeah, ultimately, yeah, they're talking about eventually we live in all lives. To love is to live in, live in two lives or
Live and let live is great. Yeah.
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 Especially in politics, I guess.
I keep coming back to a poem by Malcolm Schloss called Humility. It's four-line sections.
Hello?
The third, is this working? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Great. The third four-line segment is humility is carefree and serene. It sees and serves the one alike in all. That's a huge line. It
Yeah.
sees and it serves the one. It sees the one alike in everything. It sees and serves the one alike at all. Cares not for what shall be or what has been. And here's the kicker. But in each present moment finds its call. I kind of change that to his call. But and what is a calling? Well, often something happens, we react. If we're a little more thoughtful, we reflect and respond. But deeper than that is sort of the pleasure of the beloved, and that's more or less a call. And so in each present moment, find its call. So it's like everything else doesn't matter if you can get that. But the thing is, we can't. So just be human. Like my family is not really into Mayor Baba, two daughters and a wife. And, I think in each present moment, they're dealing. That's it. That's over the last 13.8 billion years, what's been going on. And sometimes it's unconscious and sometimes it's conscious. And eventually it goes viral. It's like in the 80s, I always wanted to be around people who had the software like WordPerfect, Lotus, or whatever, so that I could learn. So now you want the company of saints so that you have the software application that you can pick up.
the thing that jumped out in that for me was what you read of Malcolm Schloss is that it's centered on that idea of being calm in
Yes.
the sense that to do that, to do all that, that's live and let live, I guess.
It sees. Imagine that we were born in 1257,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we knew the
You're
future.
coming in and out, Bing.
Oh, it's like a mall.
That's right.
Born in 1257, and we knew the future. We knew that the Earth rotated around the sun. We knew that witchcraft was whatever, but we interacted as best we could, and we knew what's going to unfold. And you'd always want to try to facilitate learning, awakening, presence. But at the same time, it is what it is. And it's this, we only have had agriculture for 10, 12,000 years. This is like the whole of creation is a story of emergence. Out of 97% of visible matter being hydrogen and helium, we now have the earth, terrarium, and plants and animals and consciousness having emerged. And here we are with an insight as to the big picture and how we can dial into it just by not by accumulating anything, but by being who we are, which is a manifestation of being a tiny holograph that has all the elements, but is obscured by evolution and samskara compressions. And here you are to break all those apart so that we're then completely liberated after each session.
I like this funny little thing. Someone told me, don't be what you isn't, but be what you is. Because if you is what you isn't, then you isn't what you is.
My mother told me back going way
You are what you are and you ain't what you ain't.
yeah, be, and then that line of be you, be real, be one. I mean, it's
So just a little aside, Heartland Center went into contract to purchase the site that is alongside the right-of-way accident site. So it is adjacent part of. And It's now in contract and moving forward. And again, I went there in October 2023. It just was a different impression being there. And I didn't realize that Mara's injuries were more life-threatening than Bob is. I know no other instance where Mara participated. So I have no idea the significance of that site, only that it is very significant. And
When you
it's-
said it's adjacent, does it include that?
so where Mara and Mayor Baba's bodies were is in the grass area adjacent to the pavement, still
Uh,
part of the right of way.
I got it.
And this site is adjacent to that land
I
right
understand.
there. It's perfect.
Wonderful.
So did they buy the house?
Yeah, 6 acres in the house.
Oh, okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And what a story
And
that
I-
is.
If you look at Mayor Bob information on the website, there are 5 places of pilgrimage in the world that are shown on his global map, world map. Obviously, Mehrabad Marazad, Center in Myrtle Beach, Avatar's Abode, Marymount. And this is also the 5th site, the only site that has not been secured by a Mayor Hababa related entity. And it now is being secured and certainly among the top 5, whatever the number is, relatively few sites in the world, in the universe of significance to Mayor Baba's work and in a huge way. I mean, it just, anyway, it feels that way to me. I'm a little bit enthusiastic about this.
As well. Thanks for sharing that, Bing. I'm gonna stop the recording now, and we can continue.